Charles?
Hi.
Didn't they have a show that Charles in charge or
No.
something?
No.
Right. Get my tape measure out there. Less than 6 foot from Vinny. Yeah, I know.
You're gonna do what with the tape?
Less than 6 foot.
Why are we look like we're sitting opposite? You see how we're flipped around? Shouldn't we be like on the right side of the screen? But we're on the left side of the screen. But does it always, I guess it, I don't know, it looks opposite to me. Maybe it's a visual trick. Okay. I don't know, when we look at is Todd coming?
I didn't hear nothing.
Okay. Okay. Did I miss anything important in July?
You didn't have a meeting.
Fred, you didn't come to the meeting.
You didn't have a forum. Oh, you didn't have a meeting? Rick and Todd showed up. I did tell you I wouldn't let you. Usually your secretary or somebody, he sends me an email. He didn't?
Oops. You're gonna be on that naughty list for a whole year now.
I'm sorry about that. That's all right. Vinny got a hold of me like, that was
The day before.
The day before.
Yeah.
Brent told me like the month prior. Yeah, usually there's an email from her. I usually get that. Yeah.
That's really high tech. I saw that. Yeah. Yep.
Can't believe all the different sanitizing stations.
Yeah.
Two biggest things that hit our industry was sanitizer stations and plexiglass walls.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got into the business of making plexiglass walls.
Yep.
For cashier stations.
Yeah.
And
there.
some people started hanging up like clear shower curtains at first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I just said, where?
Okay, Todd's here, we can start.
Oh, come on. One time.
And you're always
You weren't out golfing in this team today, were you?
I was.
He wants to get back.
Yeah, I got something on.
Okay, hello and welcome to the regular meeting of the East Lansing Sewer Authority. My name is Rick Robinson and I am the chairman. I want to inform all participants that this meeting is being recorded. Due to COVID-19 virus and Lancaster County designation of being in the green phase reopening, in-person attendance for this meeting is being limited to 25 people who will be observing social distancing. Additionally, based upon the order of Secretary of Health regarding face coverings, all participants in the public meeting room are required to wear a face covering unless they fit into one of the order's exceptions. When speaking, while maintaining social distance, participants may remove their face covering. Therefore, this meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township YouTube channel. The authority is expecting to utilize this vehicle for all future public meetings during and after the COVID-19 crisis. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township website and will be posted on the front of the Township building. The Township will also be recording the meeting and making it available for viewing via the Township website and YouTube channel. While every effort will be made to ensure that live streaming and websites are working, East St. Peter Township takes no responsibility for and cannot be held liable for the unavailability of live streaming in part or in full due to technical issues beyond its control. Live streams and recordings of all meetings remain the property of East St. Peter Township and are protected by copyright. Access to the live stream and recording of these meetings is provided for personal and non-commercial use. Video, images, and audio must not be altered, reproduced, or republished without permission of East St. Peter Township. Join me in the meeting room while observing social distancing are Ralph Hutchison, Township Manager, Brent Stallsooth, Todd Stump, Fred Clark, Vinny Patel, Charlie Thomas, and Matt Feachy. Oh, well, I got them all. For all joining via Zoom, I now want to confirm that they can hear me and that all of us can hear them. When I call your name, please give an indication that you are able to hear me. One at a time, call the names of those joining on Zoom. If they are unable to hear, or if you're able to stop the meeting until the problem is corrected. Well, we don't have anybody, right? In order to accommodate the public comments at this meeting, the authority will be accepting public comments in writing or via email. Instructions for the submission of public comments are available on the township website. All those providing public comments will be required to provide their name and address in order for their comments to be read into the record. Inappropriate comments will not be read into the record. It's suggested that all of you who are joining the meeting via Zoom mute your microphones during the meeting until you wish to speak. I want to remind everyone that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be made available for viewing to the public through the township website. We will now proceed with the meeting's agenda. And I welcome you all to our August meeting of the East St. Peter Sewer Authority. And I invite you to join us in the pledge of the American flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had no July meeting, so approval of the minutes is a moot point here. Treasurer's report, payment of bills. Do we have any bills?
What we do, Rick, I have a checking account balance of $12,212.68. And we do have some bills that need paid or requested to pay. Excuse me. HRG in the amount of $2,723.20. Nicholas Hohendel, the amount of $1,540.50, and checks to all members of the authority in the amount of $25 each, 5 in total, for a grand total of $4,388.70.
Do we have any requisitions?
We do. No requisition. First is requisition number 03-553. This is payable to Herbert Wall and Ruby King after the facility pump station, Southwest pump station project, for the total amount of $1,980.60. Next is requisition number 03-554. This is payable to Lowe's related to the SCADA upgrade project in the amount of $13.20.
Next is requisition number 03-555. This is payable to Capital Electric. This is also for the SCADA upgrade project. This is in the amount of $296.47. Next is requisition number 03-556. This is payable to Capital Electric in the amount of $42.70. This is also for the SCADA upgrade project. Next is requisition number 03-557. This is payable to Optimum Controls Corporation for the SCADA upgrade project in the amount of $148,806. Also have requisition number 03-558. This is payable to CDW Government. This is for the SCADA upgrade project in the amount of $66.26. And finally, I have requisition number 03-559. This is payable to Herbert Roland Grubik, Inc. This is for the fertility pump station wet well mixing project and the Stauffer Run pump station pump replacement in the amount of $4,996.48. So the reason that there are some duplicates for HRG and others is because some of these date back to the July meeting and others are for August.
Okay. We have bills and requisitions. We have a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills and requisitions.
We have a second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay.
While we were waiting, I wanted to bring up, we never did approve the June minutes. I know it's 2 months ago, but since we didn't have a meeting,
We approve the June minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Under the old business, fertility upgrade chopper pump.
Thank you. The construction of the project there for the chopper pump placement at the fertility pump station has been substantially completed. We actually had startup of the equipment yesterday and performed a substantial completion inspection. The only two items on the punch list are the installation of 2 additional pipe supports on the piping themselves, but all the equipment is functioning. There is the pump supplier will have to come back and spend a day with the equipment to set up the automatic control of the pump station or the pump itself for the electrical overloads associated with it. So that is one thing that will be performed, but that's outside of the contract requirements. One item I have here would be the authority's approval here of a application for payment number 1, which is in the amount of $26,894.60. So I would ask for the authority's approval of that application for payment, and then we'll prepare a requisition for that.
Make a motion that we approve the payment.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. We'll get the requisition for that then prepared and submitted for that one as well. So all work here should be wrapped up, I would say, here by the time of your next month's meeting. That'd be completed, and we'll be able to get that project wrapped up and all paperwork completed.
there is a timer they're working on. Is that what you brought up there?
Correct.
The guys are running it by hand, 10 minutes while they're there during the mornings, every morning check. We're going to check it in a couple weeks to see if we can actually back off of the timing of the chopper pump kicking in. But yeah, it is functional now.
So included in your packet, there are a couple of photographs that show the installation. So the first photograph is the pump itself. It's mounted on the new concrete pad that was poured and shows the piping. The lower pipe is the suction line going into the pump, and then the upper line is the return pipe that goes back into the wet well. And then the second photo is other piping there that goes actually into the wet wells themselves. In the second photo, the elbow that's closest to the right is where one of those additional pipe supports is needed. And then the other one is actually by the pump itself to support the piping there, so it's not relying upon just the flange connection.
Any other discussion about the fertility upgrade? Now for run upgrade.
Design work on that project is moving forward. Over the past month, we did have the site visit there with representatives of the staff available with all the other design elements, structural, electrical, and so on, to look at the items that are necessary as part of the upgrade project. So that work is moving forward. So I think the intention is here later this year to have the design of that completed and ready to go out for bid.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Any other old business? New business, stormwater project and update.
I guess the main thing to update the board on is that we did issue the bills for the stormwater fee with the July billing of the sanitary sewer bill. Staff has been fielding a lot of questions and concerns and complaints and, you know, everything else that you can probably imagine, and some you probably can't. But we're working through all of those. There have been a few that have asked about making appeals, and one that I believe actually submitted an appeal so far. We're expecting another several to come in, related to a variety of things, you know, challenging the amount of impervious area that they have on their property, or just not wanting to pay. So we'll work through all of that and help out anybody else who wants to submit an appeal. The other thing that we've been working on recently is interviewing applicants for the stormwater coordinator position. So we've got second interview scheduled for next Monday with the top 3. So hopefully we can conclude that process and get somebody on board as quickly as we can, so that we can relieve the burdens that other staff people have been carrying related to stormwater. Anything else that we should?
I think that covers, I mean, a lot of the complaints are the same complaints, so it's like a recording, giving the answers back. A lot of the explanations on the back of the bill itself that they didn't even turn over and look at. A lot of the explanations on our website. But I think people are starting to understand.
I'm treasurer of Faith Church down here, and I was shocked how much the bill was for that property. I was shocked. I mean, here I am, supposedly know what's going on, and, you know, to me, I thought it was, yeah, outrageous. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If places like the church want to pursue credits, you know, you have the credit policy there, and those are certainly things that they can pursue with different opportunities. So we'll certainly help anybody through that process as much as we need to as well.
I've gotten a few questions on it also, just, you know, people knowing this. And I said it's comes down from really the DEP, correct? And as a township was going to get fined if we didn't do what we implemented. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, we haven't been directly, you know, sent a letter saying you will be fined, but the expectation is that if we don't do what we're required to do under the MS4 permit and completing pollution reduction projects, you know, they do regular audits, and municipalities that don't do that stuff, they're going to get fined. So,
Had they put any sort of a deadline on that, or was it still open-ended when the fines would have started?
well, our current permit has all the requirements that we need to fulfill by 2023. So that's our current deadline to get pollution reduction projects completed. And then, you know, they could they could audit our MS4 program anytime, really. We have to submit our next annual report to DEP by the end of September, which covers the year that ended the end of June.
June 30th, yeah.
So we have to do that annually. So I'm sure if we didn't do that, that would raise a flag for somebody to follow up on as well.
And the regulations that we're doing now is the permit that we're following until 2023. In 2023, there will be a new permit issued, and that could be more. I don't know if it'd be less, but yeah, this will be an ongoing. No, it definitely won't be less. Sometimes you hope, but that usually doesn't come through. But yeah, this will be an ongoing process.
Are all the other townships implementing something like this now, or is that going to be a gradual thing throughout like the county?
I think you're going to see it roll out more and more. I was just at a meeting this morning and with a bunch of municipalities and municipal managers, and they were joking around and said, "Well, we were waiting for you to do it first, so now we can point at you." Now we weren't the first one. The city was the first one. They've had it in place for a long time, and there are other communities. I can't point to any specifically in Lancaster County, but Cumberland County, Dauphin County, York County, Chester County. It's everywhere, and there'll be more. Manham Township, West Hempfield, Upper Lake Cock, they've all expressed to me that they're planning on doing it probably next year.
Any other discussion about that? Escrow agreement oxygen plant.
So within your packet there, there is an escrow agreement from the city. It's the wastewater treatment plant oxygen improvements. This escrow agreement is for the wastewater treatment plant's existing cryogenic oxygen plant that was constructed in the early 1980s, and portions of it have reached the end of their functional lifespan as replacement parts are no longer available. Upgrades to the cryogenic oxygen plant controls and vaporization systems for continued long-term operation of the wastewater treatment plant are required. And this escrow agreement covers the engineering design plus a contingency at a total cost of $70,000 for the project. The authority share, which is 14.93%, is $10,451. We would ask for the authorities recommendation, or we would recommend the authority approve this escrow agreement. It can then be signed, and then once all the other partners have signed it, there'll be a requisition prepared at that time.
Okay, so we're looking for a
I'll make a
motion.
motion, we approve the escrow agreement.
It's
Go by number or name.
name, wastewater treatment plant oxygen plant improvements.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor of the escrow agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Reimbursement from township. We always like reimbursement.
I think I might be wrong, but back in May, there was a requisition approved by the board for the diminutor at Stauffer Run, which failed for $51,257. About 2 days after the meeting, I remembered that was probably a maintenance issue, and I actually put that money in the budget, but it slid through the cracks. What's going to happen, we contacted our auditor. As long as we've got documentation in our minutes, what Kevin's going to do is prepare a bill for the authority to hand over to the township, and the township will reimburse the authority that money. That's the way the auditor told us to handle it. So when that does appear, that money came in, that's where it's at. We have copies of the escrow agreement. So that'll all be handled. Like I said, it has to be documented in the minutes, and that money will be reimbursed.
Sounds good. It's always good to get 51,000. Terms to expire.
I think I mentioned this a while ago. The current records reflect that Todd and Rick were both appointed 5 years ago in September. Raised a question in my mind about the normal sequence as I would have envisioned it is, the 5-year terms, so one of you being appointed every year. So it was a puzzle as to why both.
I think I was thinking about it after a meeting. I think I might have filled was it Charlie Lefevre spot I took? Does anybody remember who was on before?
I think it was.
And I
Yeah.
think he moved out of the township
That's correct.
and then left
he moved.
before his term was up. So I probably filled what was left of his,
Right. I think that's,
which still should have worked out, I guess, but
yeah,
don't know.
somewhere we, at least internally, we got our numbers crossed. So Rick has already indicated to me that he's going to serve another term. As soon as we figure out.
I would if you needed, I would serve another term if
That makes it easy on us. So we'll figure out the correct year and make the appropriate reappointment.
Well, Todd's just has to be for 6 years then.
Well, we'll figure it out. And I'll let you know.
Any other new business?
There is another requisition for the city. I'm sorry, escrow agreement, I should say, for the city. This one is also including engineer's report. It's the wastewater treatment plant primary electrical service upgrade, and it's amendment number 2 to the escrow agreement. So this amendment covers the construction and engineering, construction management cost of that project. Total cost of this amendment is $3,325,000, of which the authority share of 14.93% will be $496,423.
524, 524.
What I'm looking at, though, would just be amendment number 2 costs. I think the total bottom adds up the evaluation plus amendment number 1. I think that's the total. So the evaluation, amendment number 1, have already been funded. So it's the 2 dark numbers combined. I added up to 496, 420. Construction, and then
Okay.
construction.
And this is just in circulation now, right? I mean, it's not,
Correct. This is just going around for circulation by all the partners.
it's not ready to sign. We haven't gotten the original yet to sign.
Once all the partners
So
approve it.
there's no motion.
If there's any questions, we can present those back to the city. However, if you're comfortable with it, it can be approved.
Hey, you just, when it comes through, just go up there and sign. the
Stop by
paper.
and stop by and sign.
Okay, let's look for a motion to approve that escrow agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the escrow agreement for the electrical off the grid.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Another business.
Other business would be an update for the board here on the Treehouse Foods. If you recall, right back in February timeframe, it was discovered buildup in the sewer pipes along Buckwater Road and portions of 340 here. And through investigation by the staff, it was found that discharge from Treehouse Foods, which we believe to be flour, build up over time, and then portions of the sewer system actually build up about 3/4 of the pipe at certain locations. So township staff had removed a portion of it on Buckwater Road, but there's still additional sections that can have that debris removed from the system. Last week, we had a meeting with Treehouse Foods finally, presented all of this information to them. Basically, inform them, all investigative work reports, goes back to them. There's no other contributors, from the other investigation, not seeing this anywhere else. They basically asked, what do you want? And the response is, you need to bring it back to its prior condition like prior to that. So we've had actually a meeting here earlier this afternoon to discuss a response back to Treehouse, what we want to include in that. And in that discussion, what we're looking at is basically telling Treehouse they need to have a mandrel pass through that pipe, just like we would on any other sewer pipe that's installed at 95% mandrel, to show that that pipe's back up to open to say this is clean enough. There is some discussion on the roughness of the pipe or what would be left at the, how rough the interior of the pipe would be as part of the removal process, but that's something they're going to be responsible for as part of their cleaning process and how they choose that. And then some additional CCTV reinspection for a certain interval of time, once a year, every, for 2 or 3 years, to make sure no buildup is occurring within about a 6-month period of time. So that's generally our proposed response, and they'd be responsible for cleaning the line from Treehouse Foods all the way down Buckwater Road and then down Buckwater, beyond Hobson, and that line extends all the way down to Route 30. So it's about a 4,000-foot stretch or so.
Yeah, and we found that the debris is in the pipe the whole way to the interceptor. We did give them copies of the video.
And in the future, since they're a processor, shouldn't they have like a 3-stage trap system or something?
They're working with Lancaster City right now to make sure, because they're the ones that enforce our industrial waste ordinance.
Yeah.
So they're working with the city right now on the process at the plant, so it doesn't happen in the future.
One of the potential causes of concern is about 90% of the pipe is translite material. So going through the cleaning process, at least stuff that the township did, they took their time with it. But it did require a lot of effort, a lot of force to try to remove the debris. And it was a laboring process in order to do that. And with that translite material, if they do break that pipe, they're going to be required to fix that as well. That may involve some dig up and replacements at certain locations.
We do have Matt Cream involved with this. So our attorney's involved. He was involved with the meeting we had with Treehouse. So he's all on board with everything.
Any other processors or users that we should be concerned about or looking into to head off future potential issues? I mean, now this is on us.
There's a chance there could be more out there. The reason we found this one is we were looking at possibly repaving Buckwater Road here in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So I had the sewer department go out and try to videotape the line, and they couldn't get the camera to go. That's how we found this back in February. And they spent a good month and a half trying to clean that pipe. And about half the pipe's clean going down Buckwater Road. That's all they were able to do.
Treehouse will reimburse us for Matt Cream's bill.
That's in our proposal, and Matt Sitchie's, and we bought some equipment, and the time spent by our crews, water usage. We've got a whole list that we're putting together.
This is what we are developing to propose back to Treehouse as part of a consent agreement for them. So they haven't really agreed to anything at this point. We just had that initial meeting with them.
Yeah, they said, "What do you want?" Well, we couldn't say right away. They said, "We'll get back to you."
I think your question's a good one. The two situations that we've had that have involved essentially damaged our system was an egg processor and now a pretzel maker. So we could certainly investigate, try to identify any other sort of what seem to be food processing operations to see if there's any locations that we ought to examine more closely.
We have been receiving quarterly quarterly grease trap inspections or reports from different vendors that come around to all the restaurants along the 30 corridor. And they're pretty good at getting us information of how much grease was pulled out, when they cleaned it, how many times they cleaned it that quarter. So we're keeping all that on file. But yeah, there's going to be somebody else out there.
There's got to be other businesses besides food processing that put chemicals into the system.
Yeah, there were some restaurants there where, I guess, you know, even with the grease traps, you know, the grease gets through and it causes issues in the laterals. Like, there was some that we found, the staff discovered silverware and stuff in the pipes that was just made its way down through the drain system, through the traps and things like that. So even with the traps, it does get through. In those instances, it requires more frequent cleaning of the traps to make sure it doesn't get through.
Yeah, the one that was guilty of the silverware, they've actually brought in a plumber and replumbed stuff interior, and there was a lot of open grates and stuff was right near the dishwasher, and it ended up going down through it. But we tracked it back and found out who had it.
Any other business?
There is a print laying up there. That is the Zook Yoder Esch or Zook Esch Yoder project. They're putting in Ben Franklin Boulevard where the Stevens Tech building is going to be going, and some modular homes. That was going to be public sewer up on Ben Franklin Boulevard, which would then turn into and flow through private sewer, which then turns back into public sewer, which you can't do. So what Hise is proposing is to turn that sewer over to ELSA. What we're making them do is they put an easement over it. They'll still own the property. What we're going to do is I have them videotaping the line. They're going to repair everything that we find. There's trees in the easement. They're cutting all those down. I did find, I think there was 14 infiltration areas where the water's pouring in the joints. They're in agreement to contact a vendor to come in and line all of that sewer line after they get the leak stopped. And until that happens, we won't accept the line. But in June, they want to come, or at least give us the easement agreement so that I can present to the board for agreement to accept the easements.
Next June.
I'm sorry, next month. They wanted to try to be at this one, but their engineer delayed on getting me the video. And when I started finding all this, I had a meeting with a representative of High and their attorney this morning and told them it can't happen tonight. There's too many repairs that have to happen. So they're changing the easement agreement. It's going to be kind of like the one at Cedar Acres that we were going to have years ago, where if we would have a break, we'll go in and fix it. We'll backfill it to grade, but they're going to be responsible for paving, curbing, sidewalk to replace all that. Since they still own that, we own the easement or own the pipe in the easement. So that'll get us out of all the final restoration. So they're going to add that to the easement agreement also.
Sounds good. Anything else?
I just bring something to the board's attention, Rick, just considering some sewer billing. I know errors in sewer billing. I know my one business was affected, car wash I own up the street. I had whatever the bills were, we paid them and then didn't get a bill for a quarter or two. And I reached out to the township and they said they were working on it. And then I got a letter saying I owe 22 grand in back sewer bills. And it does say here, this letter's from Kevin. It says it is the township's mistake. And he's willing to give time to pay. And I'm not even saying I didn't know that, but it just seems kind of going forward from there. I had to reach out again to get my bill for the second quarter. And then they sent that with a crazy late charge on for all this $22,000 that I hadn't paid and just found out about. And then looking ahead to this, the last the second quarter, I didn't get my bill till July 27th. It's postmarked, so I opened it probably the 29th or 30th, and obviously with a 31st due date. So I guess I'm just looking. I should have probably asked that Kevin be present, but I knew he was here last time and looking for signatures, and there was only two of us, so I thought he might be back here. But I guess, you know, how many other businesses would you know how were affected like this, or is it solely me or my business or what? And would it be Kevin that be in charge of this? That
As the finance director, he handles the billing system, but I can tell you that we have about 50 accounts that are billed based upon the water meter.
okay,
So part of the problem, not saying it's all the problem, but part of the problem is the information that we get from the city on the meter reading and how and when we get them. So that doesn't necessarily excuse any mistakes that we make, but it is part of the process of getting those bills out. I'm happy. I wasn't aware of the exact letter that you're looking at, but I'm happy to look into it.
and I don't mention here to solve my own problems, or I'm not, and I didn't say I don't know that, and I would take up the late charges with Kevin, whoever. I just mentioned, I think it's important for the board to know that, you know, we're the sewer authority and some of the sewer billing's not going out as it should.
Who you are?
That's it. That's all. I just bring it to the board's attention.
Any other comments? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Why don't they have wireless water meters?
I don't know.
And why would water meters in this day and age